Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone to today's branding Q&A. So today we're going to just open up the floor to all of you to really go over any questions that you might have as a wrap up to our monthly topic for branding. Before we get started, I just want to sort of give an overview and a quick recap of branding and some exercises and all of the things I've been reading about branding. Will lead to more sales, which it will, but because when you're able to be clear about who you are and why you do the things you do and what you're able to do to help other people, you suddenly come into your work with a whole different perspective. I know I have. One of my key discoveries this month was the reason I paint, or the theme behind my work, is all about inner strength and grit. And I've been using the word grit in the description of my work for years, like almost a decade, without ever giving it any thought. And when I finally started really drilling down into that, what I was able to come out of that was a new way to talk to clients, niching down to speak to those that value inner strength and grit, and segmenting myself in the collector sphere to really talk to those people. Because at the end of the day, those that are collecting my work, and I really did think about all of my collectors, especially my larger collectors that have more than one piece, is that in some point in their life, they had to overcome something, and they've shared those stories with me over and over. So I just want to shake my head sometimes when I think about how many opportunities I had to realize why I was doing what I was doing, why I was painting what I was painting, but I really was just sort of going in blindly, like, this is what I feel like painting, so I'm going to keep doing this. So I hope that you've experienced similar realizations this month, and I would love to just open it up, since there's only 4 of us in the call right now, maybe go around the room and find out what some of your key takeaways before we jump into the Q&A. So with that, Amelia, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, this has been really good. I actually, I got in touch with some collectors of mine that I felt comfortable asking to give me some feedback, like why do you like my work? What is it about it that sets it apart from other work? Why do you keep coming back to it? And one of the key things, I only contacted like 3 people, but it helped me pinpoint some similarities that I wasn't familiar with, or I didn't notice before, kind of like what you were talking about, Teresa. And with my work, because it's multi-layered, because it uses things that people really connect with as far as the collage. I think the big thing that I came away with is my collectors are, they're drawn to work that gives them some kind of connection with their personal experience, that they want work that is meaningful to them. It has to be more than just a pretty picture. They want it to kind of feed them in a deeper way. And so that meaningful connection, I think, is one thing that I want to work on just talking about more. But as far as my own branding, I think that the biggest thing that I came out with was understanding what some of my core values are, and how that feeds into my artwork. So like when I was coming up with my core values and my principles and everything, I kind of narrowed it down to 4 different ones. One being education and learning, the other one being relationships and connection. The other one was heart and soul. I can't do anything in 1 word. So like the best I can do is 2 words. Okay. So, and then the final one was just integrity. And I felt like that kind of rounded out like what I want to express, what I want to hold on to as my work, no matter what my work looks like, that those are the things that are going to kind of come through. Yeah.
Have you found that setting up those boundaries around you and your work has actually created more fluid room for you to create because of having those boundaries?
Yeah, I think, so one of the things that I noticed, because I've been, as we've been talking, I've been trying to come up with a new theme for some new work. And I was focusing on trees for a little bit, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then I started focusing more on, like, maybe I should come up with something that's related to my own experience with specific trees, like the chestnut tree that I grew up with, the sumac tree that my brother ran a car into when he was 4. And, like different, so those very personal, specific actions. And I was really leery about it, like, I don't know, that's really personal, like just to me, like, is anyone actually going to connect with that? And then when I was coming up with, like, when I looked back at my values, one of my principles is I'm only going to do artwork that is related to what my heart wants to do, like that my heart's calling to do. And that's what I want to focus on. I'm like, well, there you go. If that's what I want to do and that's what my heart wants to do, then that's what I'm going to do. And that was helpful to have those boundaries in there to give me permission to focus in that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Welcome, Arjun. We're just going around the room right now, just getting a couple of key takeaways that you've had from your month of exploring your brand, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So if you want to go next and just maybe share a point or two that you've learned. No? Okay. Lisa? Oh, let me take her off of mute. Hold on a second. Lisa, you're on mute. Okay, Lisa, can you start again? Because you are muted. There we go. Okay, you should be able to talk.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still sort of swimming in it, but I've made some discoveries. I also contacted 3 people that I trust about, and I tried to narrow them down to giving specific words that they felt, I guess, with the prompt of, what do you think of when you think of my work? But then I also asked them, are those the same things you think of when you think of me? And they were like, yes and no, but a couple of the words that came up that I found interesting, one was demanding when they thought of my work. And then the other was insightful, which I thought was kind of interesting because I don't think of my work as having any particular insight, that that somebody might, like a goal insight. But other words were like curious and intriguing, things like that. And I thought, well, that all put all together, it does sort of go with the enigmatic quality that I go for in my work. So that was helpful. The other kind of key thing that I thought of in relationship to the concept that we are our brands, like as artists, we can't separate ourselves from our brand. And I thought one of the things that the approach that I had to selling my work was at shows for years and years. So the only person that I had to be consistent with was the person that showed up at shows. That's where I saw my customers. I mean, there were some shipping in between, but mostly it was whoever I am at a show is who I am. So I didn't need to worry about who I was when I was sort of off duty. And now I feel like the world has changed in such a way that you're out there all the time. You're always on duty. You're always showing who you are because there's just so many more ways to show it. And so many more people see it. And that was like a really big thing for me. I thought, I no longer can sort of just play a role at certain times of the year and then be myself the rest of the time. Not that those two things aren't related, but there's a lot of parts of myself that I just don't want, I just want to be private about them. And I don't have any interest in sharing them with people. And so that realization that I need to do a little bit more work on understanding what I do want to go out and what I want to keep in, because it's less containable. Who we are in a world of social media and all these ways to be known is less containable. So if that makes sense, I had been wondering like why I'm so uncomfortable with this idea that I am a brand. And this really helped me to understand that. It's like no more privacy. You don't get to be, and I know that's hyperbolic, but in general, that was an aha, if that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. Okay, well, thank you for sharing. Lee, do you want to just share a point or two about what your takeaway was this month?
Sure. I'm kind of like Lisa. I'm still kind of swimming in all of this, but I did work on the worksheet yesterday and rewatched the first video. And I didn't contact any collectors, but I remember some things that some people have told me over the years. And that was that my work was interesting to look at, and they keep finding new things the more they look at it. And also the color and the feeling of it is in general joyful. And, that's also what I find great joy in painting, which is, why I do it. It kind of takes me away to another place and just, it just helps me escape more or less from the day-to-day, whatever reality. And, and I'm basically a happy person. So I think that comes through in my work. So I did end up coming up with a positioning statement.
Oh, do you want to share it?
Sure. It's kind of long. I don't know if it's too long. But it's, I help busy people engage their minds in a non-objective journey through layers of color and movement to decompress and find joy in the respite from the chatter.
Okay, read it again.
I help busy people engage their minds in a non-objective journey through layers of color and movement to decompress and find joy in the respite from the chatter.
So that they can decompress. So you're giving
Right.
them an yeah, maybe put that in there because I was confused on whether it was you or them that was decompressing there.
Okay. For them to decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Does it feel comfortable saying that, or does it feel forced at all?
It feels, anything I write always feels a little forced because I'm not a natural writer. And so I always go over things and over things and over things and rewrite them. And, I've redone my artist statement about 20 times. And, so it's not that it feels forced, but it doesn't really feel maybe natural the way I would say things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, somebody else can jump in for sure, but keep reading it every day and make tweaks until it feels, until it feels like it just flows out of your mouth so that you could say it in conversation. So if somebody says to you, "What do you do, Lee?" the words that come out of your mouth next would be that positioning statement. So you'd want it to feel like a normal conversation you would have at a cocktail party.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going to happen, but okay.
Yeah, I think it can. I definitely think it can. You have to come back to it. Like if you just set a little reminder in your calendar, like every day or every other day for, a period of time, each day you'll be able to make little tiny tweaks that make it feel better, and share it. Like, say it to all your friends. Say it, you can post it in the group and get feedback. Yeah.
Can I ask
Okay.
a question?
Yeah.
I have a question for Lee. What do you say now? When you know,
What do you mean now?
meaning prior to this workshop, when people say, "What do you do?"
Oh, well, I always did the usual, I'm an abstract painter.
Okay.
And I have recently added as something about my work expressing movement and color, you know, because I'm a swing dancer, and I always like to try and I paint listening to music. So I always try and, you know, have some movement in my work. So I've been trying to put that in there. But I used to always just say I'm an abstract painter.
I think you could totally use the music thing.
Yeah.
People connect, like when you think about how we're dealing with life now, music is a central part of that. People connect really well with
Mhm.
And so I think if you utilize that part of how music is part of what your work is, that could be a really unique type of positioning statement.
Right. I actually have a whole artist statement that I wrote a couple of months ago, but I haven't really implemented it yet. That really goes into music and dancing and movement and all that. But I just couldn't see how that related to my core values. So I was trying to bring all of that together, and couldn't really figure out how to do that.
Can you just repeat what are your core values then?
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of had a whole bunch of them, but I narrowed it down to exploration, education, calm, and joy.
So when someone asks you what you do, like Lisa was saying, it's a great question. And you said abstract painter that has movement in it. Is that what you say?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I've said it. I think I said, like, I do abstract paintings with expression and movement. So it wasn't quite like that.
Would that relate
But
to your core value of joy?
Yeah, it could relate to the value of joy.
One thing to think of, one thing to think of too is you don't have to be so specific in your positioning statement. You don't have to say what type of art you make. You can just say how you want to make people feel. And that way you don't have to get into the technical. You just want to listen, like the purpose is to make them say, I want to learn more about this person. I want to go check out more of their work and see what they do. And so, being able, like Amelia and what Marjolaine were saying with the music, it's a great icebreaker, a way to really get into their soul and say, hey, come check out how I use music to inspire this work that I'm creating.
Okay, yeah, because that's really what I would prefer, is talking more about something like that. That seems more natural to me.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't really. That's where I was struggling with, finding a connection between my values and basically what I do. I'm sort of a dichotomy all over the place, because basically I'm also a very shy and reserved person. And my artwork is like just the opposite. It's very bold and energetic. So it's, I'm just sort of at two opposite ends all over the place.
I was thinking about your work, and the word lyricism came to mind. So I just want to.
Oh yeah, I've used that in the past. I don't have it in my current artist statement, but yeah.
I will say the thing that I connected with your positioning statement was the idea of decompression. We all crave that so much. So you're meeting a very real need in that positioning statement. And so I want to let you know, I connected with that very much.
With the decompression.
If you can help me decompress, I want to know more about you.
Right. Oh, that's good to know. Thanks.
who's got reservations about being specific, so specific by saying things like that they're going to exclude people? Does anybody feel nervous about that at all, or where are you at with that?
No, I don't, because I think you're always going to exclude people because not everybody likes everything. I heard a good comment once. I used to, when I was doing art festivals, I was actually doing this work, this photo montage work that was kind of on the surreal side. And somebody once said something that, like, it's not for everyone. And that's been sort of my mantra. My work is not for everyone, and I know it.
That is a great outlook. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
I mean,
Cool.
do you think, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, do you think that to exclude someone is also to include others? I mean, do both of those exist at the same time?
Yeah, I think if you try to include everybody, you don't include anybody. So I think I was just the same thing that you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember, have any of you ever listened to Bruce Baker and his whole selling?
Yes, I had the whole set of CDs.
Yeah, he's such a guru.
Yeah.
I remember, I that's where I first heard it's not for everyone, and
That's where I heard
he likes to say it like it's like a very, almost like an underhanded way of saying, get the hell out of my booth. You know?
It's not for you. Get
Yeah.
out of here.
That's right. And I just always thought that was kind of funny. I've never used it myself, but.
Well, and you never know if you say, well, it's not for everyone, it could be reverse psychology.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? I can be into this too.
And I think that is part of it. Yeah. It's sort of like, it's this kind of mild, like tacit insult that challenges a person to be like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about art is that our art, at the root of it, will in all likelihood be able to reach people on a very real and inner place if you are able to share that in a very concise and succinct way. So like Lee was saying about dance and joy, I mean, who doesn't want to be able to tap into that in their lives? Marjolaine with her memories and being able to bring those back to life. Like, who doesn't want to be able to do that? So, you know, by being very specific about that piece that we want to illuminate within people, I think that the very feeling of niching down starts to expand the people that we can reach. But by going in on a very surface level, we're not able to dig down into that spot. So, all right, where else is anybody stuck? Who wants to, anybody questions or anybody have any things they want to talk about?
So can I just ask you?
Yeah.
So the position statement, when you talk about the positioning statement, Teresa, you're saying that it's not necessarily about the art. It's how it relates, what your values are. Is that what you're?
It's how, so the best way to picture it is it's what you want to be able to say to your people that makes them interested in what you do on a very clear and concise way that also tells them what desires of theirs you'll fill. So, for example, you want to be able to think about it like, who is it that I want to attract? Who is my buyer? So for me, I'll give you an example. So this is my brand positioning statement. Our home is an extension of us, a sacred place that reflects our character and personality. I help new and seasoned collectors fill bland walls with art that is significant to them, art that amplifies their inner strength and grit. So I want them to feel how they can achieve success by buying my art. And that is, they're going to be able to tap in and become more strong and tap into their inner grit if they own a piece of my work. So I don't think mine is perfect yet because I want to be able to say it with ease. So I've been practicing it every day, but it's just imagining what your specific buyer will get out of owning your work and saying it to them in a way that makes them want to know more.
Okay.
One of the
And
things
you,
curious about, just I like completely stumbled and struggled with the whole brand positioning, like that whole page, as far as like, how are you currently positioning your brand? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what that means. So if you could speak into this particular portion of branding,
Yeah.
go.
this is actually the most important piece when it comes to getting new customers and new clients. So we'll be drilling down even more into this throughout the whole month of May. But yes, so the positioning is how you are going out into the world and showing who you are to the world in order to get them to come essentially into your world, so into your website. So your positioning talks about who you're going after, the problems that those people have, how you can help them, and then ultimately the success that they will feel as a result of owning your work. And the positioning statement is your North Star. So you need to think through all of those components in order to create your positioning statement. And then once you have your positioning statement, that goes everywhere. That's going to be a statement that you have on your business cards, on all of your collateral, on your website somewhere, not at the very top because it tends to be more than just a couple of words. And so those, if you can answer those questions, and it takes, like, for me, I worked on basically one of those questions a day. Like, I mean, I pretty much knew who my buyers were. I'm gonna bring up, we're gonna be doing more of this in May, but hold on one second. Let me just bring up, I can say exactly what it is that I did for this in my journal. All right. I also did one for 25 days, so I can read that one to you too if you want to see what it looks like on a different brand as well. Okay, here we go. So the character within my brand is new and seasoned art collectors. The problem that they have are blank walls, blank uninspired walls, bland walls, vanilla walls. I sort of played with that word a lot to try and figure out what would be most impactful. Then the plan is pretty simple. You just want to be able to give them an opportunity to purchase art and bring it into their lives. And then the success that they have is being able to tap into their inner strength and grit as a result of the work. So one of the ways that I like that, so it might, for me, it felt a little far-fetched. Hold on one second. I'm on a call. That's not your, that's not it. This is not your, yes, I will help you when I get off the call. Thank you. Okay, sorry guys. I like saw I saw the little guy in my screen. I was like, oh. Okay. So for me, it felt like, how in the hell is my artwork going to make somebody feel stronger or be able to feel like they can go accomplish anything and have perseverance? And then I picked up a mug that I bought from one of my artist friends at an art show, and I was drinking my coffee out of it. And just holding the mug in my hand made me feel connected to her. It made me feel like I was, you know, valuing somebody's hard work, handmade. It changed the way I was feeling by holding this coffee mug that somebody made. And then I started thinking about the artwork that I had in my house, which I only have one of my own pieces and everything else is other artists, and how it makes me feel when I look at their art, and it changes the way I feel. So our work literally can make people feel differently, think differently, and then go out in the world and be different because of it. So you all need to get to that place where you believe it. And I encourage you to figure out ways to do that, because once you do, it opens up your ability to put words around that and how your work can tie into that. I wish I knew how to like magic wand that feeling into all of you, but my best suggestion is just to journal about it. Like just at the top of the page, once a day, just write about your work and how it can help other people. What are people's desires? How can you help them with your work? Those two topics are what I really focused on for a while, and was able to believe that artwork can change people.
Could you go ahead and do prompts like that on a weekly basis? Just say
Daily basis, yeah.
daily or weekly or whatever. Here's what you need to write about today, because I think like it's really hard to kind of hone in on what that is unless there's smaller chunks. And that, like, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. I can happily do that. I'm going to make a note. How would you want that? What would be the best way to get that over to you, or to give that to the group? Do you want me to post it up in the group? Do you want me to do it as one document that has a bunch of different prompts, or do you want one prompt a day?
I think one prompt a day would be awesome, because then it's it forces you to interact with it, as opposed to if it's just a sheet, that's great, but I don't trust myself to actually go back to that.
Yeah, I like the prompt too. I like that one prompt today too. That sounds good.
Okay, I will do like a 30-day, one prompt a day journaling exercise on branding and positioning and getting customers. I'll sort of merge these, what we've learned this month with what we're doing next month, because there's so much overlap between them.
That's
Okay,
good.
awesome.
Can I ask a question about the 4 questions that you asked? Who are you going after? What are the problems they have? How can you help them? And what was the last question?
What success they'll achieve as a result of owning your work. So
how is that different than the question before it? I know I'm sure there's a distinction between how I can help them and what success they'll experience from, but I'm curious about what you feel the distinction between the two is.
One is your direct action for them, and one is their response to their action, to that action. So you can't make them have success. You can only give them the opportunity to be successful through your work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Hi, Ina, how are you? What other questions or topics do you guys want to go over? We have about 20-ish more minutes, 25 more minutes, and I do want to do a website review with Amelia before we head off. So anything you guys want to talk about? Okay. Well, if anything comes to your head, just jump right in. In the meantime, we're going to head over to Amelia's website. I'm going to bring it up on a shared screen. Amelia, while I'm doing that, why don't you give me a couple of bullet points on what you'd like to like drill down on your website?
Okay. So this ask, as far as being able to learn, like get some help with my website, is basically it's from our workbook, and looking at is my website clear in its messaging? People feel my personality in every page? Are my values present throughout the experience? And I mean, I can take guesses at that, but I kind of feel like I need other people to speak into that, as opposed to me just, because you don't come at it with fresh eyes. like you think you're doing something, but unless you have a fresh pair of eyes that doesn't have like that background context, then it's really hard to really honestly get good to, I don't know, to really understand that. So those were like some of the things I wanted, is just like what kind of personality comes through with my website. And is my messaging clear throughout it? And do my values align with it? And like, as I mentioned before, my values were education and learning, integrity, heart and soul, and then also relationship and connection. So those are like the core values that I wanted to kind of infuse into my my branding. But I don't know if my website's doing that or not. It's hard to tell.
Okay, so we are gonna talk more about websites in May, because I mean, websites obviously were important before coronavirus, but websites are going to be the portal that people are going to be using in order to purchase from us, that along with our social media platforms. So we're going to be spending a lot of in-depth time going over websites. But I just finished reading the book Story Brand, and that is by Donald Miller, I think the name is, and I will clarify that in a minute just to make sure. But and I'm going to talk more about this going into May. I would highly suggest that you guys read this book. It will bring a lot more clarity around branding, and will bring a lot more clarity around the way you want to be going out into the world to your collectors. So with Story Brand, they have 5 specific things that they look for in a website. And if you want, Amelia, I can share those with you really quick, and then we can use that as sort of the primer that we go around. Okay, so the very first thing they say is that when you log in, you want to have it to be very streamlined, with a photo that makes people see the way you want them to feel. So whether it's somebody in front of a piece of your work, looking at it, just highlighting whatever that value is, or whatever that success is that you want people to experience. Okay. You also want there to be an offer above the fold, which is going to simply be shop for original art, but whatever it is you want your people to do, you want it to be very clear above the fold of, so the very first thing that they see on this page. So making it very clear by putting a button, they say in the upper right hand corner. My website now says shop for originals in the very upper right hand corner, in a different color than everything else. Okay. The next thing is an obvious call to action. So again, having that buy button up there, and then even having so you have your join the email list and get a free gift, but maybe even going one step further and saying, here are if you'd like to see a demo of one of my pieces come together, why don't you join my email list, and I can send that over to you. One of the things they say is nobody wants to join an email, nobody wants to be signing up for an email newsletter. So you want to give them some sort of transitional call to action, which would be a downloadable PDF, access to some sort of benefit to them that has a high value within this section. Images of
that would be before you have them sign up for the mailing list. Is that what you're saying?
That would be the sign up for the list. So creating a button that says whatever it is that you want to give as a transitional call to action. So for you have something on there that says free gift. What is that free gift that you're giving away when people sign up right now?
So what I've had for a little while, mainly because I have to figure out again on MailChimp how to change it. Sometimes you do something and then you can't figure out how to do it again. but it's basically it's a downloadable PDF, and it's a collage decoder. So I frequently reuse collage materials in my pieces, and those reused pieces have significant meaning. And so I'm giving them an inside scoop as far as like, when I use a compass, this is what it usually means. And when I use a lantern, this is what I'm referring to. And so it's kind of like a little insider, like, oh, now I know what she's doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you probably want to have more information about that on there.
Okay.
And that should be the thing that they do. And then obviously you have to put on there, by getting this, you're going to be also added to my email list.
Yeah.
And just to make sure that you have your base covered there. But you will attract so many more people, because I mean, who doesn't want a decoder ring for artwork? That's really cool. So we'll again be talking about this in length next month, and we'll be brainstorming ideas on how to do this. But this is a little sneak peek into what that could look like. So I would definitely go somewhere there. They also say that you want to create a bite-sized breakdown of your revenue streams, which simply means you want to know exactly they want to know what it is that they should be doing on your site. They have come to your website because something about you has interested them. Something about your interaction with them has said, hey, maybe owning her work will do whatever it is you told them it would do. So let me go learn more. You want to have a very clear path to getting that success. So right now, really, I want to be able to see if I can, so I see a shop button here, but shop for what? And what am I shopping for? Is it prints? Is it originals? Maybe being able to have this be a little bit more specific on what that means. And then if you also offer prints, or is it just originals that you have on your website?
I have prints and originals. Two different types of prints. One's a resin coated print, and the other is just a print. And then I also have non-resin originals and resin originals.
Yeah, so you might want to even consider on your very front page having the call to action, maybe be a button here, like, so you have your picture back here having like, buy an original, buy a print. And then they have two different buttons that they can click on to get to whatever that is.
Okay.
And then finally, very few words. And the whole like idea there is that people don't read websites anymore, they scan them. And while we want to be able to offer a deeper dive for people who want to learn more about you, giving them tiny little pieces and like breadcrumbs around your site, and then giving them the ability to expand or click into things as they so want, because nobody's reading a paragraph.
Right, and that's kind of what I started to do. So basically hand-holding like everything that you need to know is on the homepage, but just a little snippet. So then if you want to know more, you have to click a button. So that's kind of like, that's where I was moving. Yeah.
I would have somewhere up here who you are too, above the fold, like, it doesn't say that you're an artist up here, maybe. So maybe having something related to Amelia Furman, artist, and then some sort of positioning statement, a very, very small piece of your positioning statement up here that again mimics whatever it is that you're saying in a very concise way. So people are like reminded once again, oh yeah, I'm here because I want to feel this about her work.
Mm-hmm.
And have that in as many places as you can. And that header is great because no matter what page you're on, you'll continually see that.
Yeah.
That piece of it. So those are the big things that they say to focus on. Does anybody want to share anything about Amelia's site that they noticed, or any feedback that they have for her on what we've seen so far? Okay, so Amelia, I would say hang tight, continue to refine your brand positioning statement, and then start layering that into your site as much as possible. Next month, we'll work together on like the lead generator and your one-liner and the things that you see above the fold, all of that stuff to help get more customers. Okay?
Can I just say something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So Amelia, so when you go on your home page and you have to click onto the video, is that what that is? It's not really actually an image, right?
Yeah, so it's a feed. The way Wix does it is it's basically it's connected with my YouTube channel, so people can go ahead and they can look at closer. One of the things about my work is you don't get all of it unless you're looking closely and you're looking slowly. And so that's what I was trying to do with these videos, is to give people close-up snapshots of a new piece. And then at the end, they would see the whole thing together and it would make sense. So that's what I was shooting for. As far as, giving them, videos seem to be a big deal. So that's kind of what I was focusing on. I wanted like a big image, not as many words. But now I'm starting to think maybe I want to do more of like a slideshow of finished pieces and then have the video segments down further. So I don't know, but that's what I was doing with those videos. And then through the way the site is set up, like each new video, it cycles it in as like the first one, and you can look at the whole library here. But I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question. I think the videos are fantastic. I think that's a really great idea. I don't think it should be on your homepage as soon as you bounce on there, because I agree with Teresa. One of the things, the bounce rate is really high if you have to actually work hard to get into what you're doing. So even if these videos would be part of your blog post or be a link onto when you go onto your shop, I don't know if that's possible, that there's some kind of link to a piece that you're selling and link that to a video. But I've heard that actually sliders are not a good idea either, but I don't know. I mean, it's all.
And that's true. I heard the same thing. It's because it's too distracting. It doesn't keep people engaged in one thing for very long. So I would agree with that statement, Marjolaine.
Yeah.
Amelia, there's one thing. So this is what I currently have, and this is Wix. I don't have to click, or people don't have to click or do anything. They just bring this up, and now it's not going to work because my internet is so slow right now. I downgraded my internet, and so give it a second. But people click in, and then it just loads, hopefully. 1 second.
Yeah, you have the video.
There. So it just loads and plays in the background. And then I have to add my buttons here, my call to action buttons here, which I haven't done yet because I'm still refining that. But then you scroll down a little bit, and then it gives a very short snippet of my artist statement. And then if people want to learn more, they can click here and like learn more about it. But I'm still trying to down size all of the content that's happening on there. But it is possible in Wix to run a video in the background without having to press play.
Okay.
And I can sidebar that with you if you want.
That'd be great. I'd love that.
So may I ask a question? I finally escaped family.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know we have very little time. I have this question which I'm struggling with like for 10 years, still unresolved. Artists use their names more often than not for business and as a logo. And this is a very, very, very nice looking logo, by the way, Amelia.
Thank you.
I like it very much. But I have this very difficult last name. A lot of people don't know how to say it. So I always kind of used Small Joy Studio as a name for my business, kind of trying to avoid my last name. Do you have any opinion on that, Teresa?
I am always a proponent of using your name. And even if it's a tricky one, Google has a way of helping people get to places, and there's ways you can point your website by creating different ways you think people spell it. How do you say your last name, or how do you spell it?
It's D as a daughter, Z as zebra, H as Harry, A, N as Nancy, I, B as a boy, E, K, O, V, A. Dzhanibekova. So it's
Yeah, that's a
DZH, which is
tricky
very
one.
difficult. So, using my own name will confuse people. Like, what's that artist's name? I cannot spell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you just use your first name and maybe an initial?
I use it, by the way, sometimes to sign or but it doesn't look too good. I played with it. It's like I-N-N-A, Ina. A lot of people say it Ina, by the way. So there's like no way around it. It's just very confusing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one of the things that I do too. So I just used, this isn't actually my logo. My actual logo is an A that I created the shape of it when I was in college, when I was coming up with my branding. So it's probably time to rework it, since that was like 20 years ago. But it's just an A, and then it has my first name at the bottom of it. But so I use that A shape a lot, and it's more of like a symbol as opposed to just my name.
Well, it's more like a signature on the pottery.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I have one too, which I used on my pottery. But still, even if I show it, it's still kind of, I show that symbol, and then what? Small Joy Studio? I still don't want to use, I don't know, I really struggle with that. So I'll
Tell,
yes.
So are you you're working in just one medium now, right? The photography with the painting over top, or are you still diversified with several different mediums?
I do, it's a collage, so that's what I do. Okay. Yes, I do have straight photography as well, and I have digital art as well. And all of it is great.
Are you happy with the are you happy with the amount of people that are finding you and recognizing you right now? Are you finding that it's working?
Teresa, I haven't launched my website with my 2D artwork. I'm working on it. And
okay, so you're still in the beginning.
Well, I'm not a beginner in that sense, because my other website for my jewelry and product photography is up, and it's been running for a very long time. So, but this one kind of representing my the aspects of my 2D work. I'm working on it more in details, kind of like on the back with descriptions and populating it. So I'm hopeful that I will be ready soon. I signed up last year before I joined you. I signed up with Art Storefronts. You know them, do you?
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yep.
So what I like about them is that they provide an extreme help. advice, and they have a lot of tutorials. I mean, like years and years of accumulated tutorials on everything, like all sorts of, like all aspects of creating a website, do branding, and especially marketing. Marketing is like to minutiae detail. You can kind of just use their calendar, which is already there, and just like place your own things there and stick to it. So I've been working since the beginning of the year on that. There were other things that required my attention, but now I'm at home more, so I'm more concentrated on that. So I'm hopeful that like probably within a month, I will have my website launched, and I will be working on my marketing from then on.
And
people
can I
to,
say something?
Mhm.
Are you marketing your, so I'm Art Storefronts as well. I launched a store with them called Memory Art Girl. I launched a brand
Mhm.
like that 3 years ago. I was always Marjolin Vanderhart, and I have a WordPress site at marjolin.com. But my issue is like yours, is that it's a unique name, and people recall factor of that name is very difficult. So that's one of the reasons I branded myself a little bit different and created a store on Art Storefronts that's Memory Art Girl. And I do everything on social media under Memory Art Girl. But I still post blogs on marjolin.com and on Memory Art Girl. So I have the two sites I kind of work with. What I have found is that the recall factor of Memory Art Girl is pretty high. Like when I start looking at analytics on Reddit, people talk about Memory Art Girl. They don't talk about my name because they can't remember my name. So it means that you have to split a little bit. Someone asked me yesterday how I deal with doing two types of brands, but I see them connected in the sense that Memory Art Girl is my commercial platform, prints, place, e-commerce, and it's really good to link into my positioning of memories and nostalgia and that kind of thing. So that's how I've handled having a unique name and dealing with recall factors of a client.
Well, it seems like you also dealing it in a similar way like I do. So I had like Small Joy Studio for almost 10 years, and it seems like people remember it, the name very well. And my existing website, I'm going to reuse that name, by the way, when I launch my new website, smalljoystudio.com. Is recalled very easily on if you do a Google search.
Yeah.
There are other Small Joys, but Small Joy Studio comes up almost immediately because I've been promoting it so much. So there is no sense to lose it. But as an artist for 2D work, I kind of want to spin it off a little bit more into my own name and use it more maybe on like within the website. But we'll see. It's a work in progress. I know it's like 1 o'clock, so Teresa, you probably have to go.
That's okay. I'm here if you guys need it.
But this is like an update of what I'm up to at the moment. So I'm working on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Marjolin, that was a great breakout. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I really appreciate it. You know, it's so other people are doing it the same thing too. It seems like, and it seems to be working for them.
I think it links back to what Teresa was starting to begin with, where she talked about what it is that you're trying to have your clients, the success of your clients are trying to, who your client is. And if you know who your client, I know that I want clients who like nostalgia, who look for that. When they Google memories, I want Memory Art Girl to come up. So that's always like all my Google searching, everything is linking towards that. You can't get that, like Marjolin Vanderhart still comes up when that's Googled because it's all on the SEO. It still kind of comes side by each. But Small Joys, that's an awesome branding. And that would be like your name can still link with that and you still work that as your main header.
And Ina, one of the things I've seen other artists do with tricky names or just business people on tricky names is actually own that. So like at the top, you can have your name and then phonetically spell it underneath and just like maybe have a little story about like living with a crazy name just to bring some lightness and levity to it. And then people will remember that as well.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. This is a great idea.
You know
I
what you
can
could do? What would be really fun is go ahead and just put your last name on a card and then get everyone on social media to upload them trying to say it. And like, how funny would that be?
That's adorable. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, you know, that's
Make it a contest. Whoever gets it right gets something. You know?
yeah.
That's cute.
I think
All
it's
right. Well,
the,
thank you, ladies. Yeah, that's great.
All right, guys. Anybody else that have anything to weigh in on either Amelia's site or anything else you guys want to chat about before we hang up?
I just want to vote for the owning the name. I love the name. I love your name. My favorite artists, a couple of them, one is named Ruzadan Kizanashvili, and another, which I'm probably butchering, but she writes it in huge letters up the sides of her paintings. And I love that. It becomes a graphic symbol. And then another is Ursula von Riedingsvard. And I just feel that the name is part of who you are. It talks about your history. I just wanted to put a vote in for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the contrast too of Small Joys, but I just wouldn't want to not know your name too.
Small Joys, big name. They're
Small Joy Studio. The Small
Love
Joy
it.
Studio. So it has to be studio at the end because that's the proper name, Small Joy Studio. Because there is something else with the Small Joys somewhere. They're just plain Small Joys.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I like that idea very much. So I already have like some things are flashing through my mind, what they can do with it. So it's great.
That's great. That's perfect. Okay, guys. So anything else you want to talk about branding today? Any other outstanding issues? Are you stuck anywhere? Okay, so I already alluded a little bit to what May's going to look like for us, but it's going to be heavily taking our branding, that work we've done so far, applying it to our hub, which is our website, and then extracting that out into things like lead generators, email, having our marketing collateral, copy, all weaving in the boundaries that we've set with our branding. Like, we're literally going to say, this is what we have to work with, just like we do with our artwork. We're not going to walk into a new piece and say, today I feel like, I know I'm an oil painter, but today I feel like working in clay to create this piece that I want to do. We're going to stick within our mediums. We're going to stick within our boundaries, and we're going to build out our marketing strategy to get new customers that way. And we're going to come up with all sorts of ways to do that, especially right now in the time of Corona. Most of that's happening digitally. So that's going to be our big focus for May. And I look forward to doing that alongside of you guys. Again, I mentioned Story Brand by Donald Miller. That's been a really awesome book to read and help put a new perspective on how to build out brands. So I would highly recommend that. I had this thought, and I would love to pick your brain really quick about it, is do you think it would be helpful if there was a certain book that went along with our theme to sort of have like a book group go along with a book through the month? Or do you think that's just too much to even think about adding to your plate at this time?
I think you need to write a book.
Yeah, that's not happening. But okay, just a thought. I found the Story Brand so helpful that, and I'm going to be talking about it so much next month that I was like, maybe we can read it alongside. But if you guys ever decide you want to do something like that, let me know.
Yeah, I just read that book. Teresa, it's funny that you're bringing it up. It's fantastic. It was, it actually clarified so many things that I've been working on and go, oh, okay, so I'm doing this. Okay. So, and then other things like, okay, maybe I should change this way or that way, but great, easy read, very quick read, great book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
you
that's
just
awesome.
post the name? Just post the name to the group of the book?
Will do. I'll do that right now. And then I am going to do the daily journal prompts, different ideas that's helped me clarify my brand. And let's make that a interactive post. So if there's anything that's helping you guys, feel free to post that up. And that leads me to one other thing is that this community is your community. It's so if you do have anything that you're stuck with or if you figure something out that's working really well for you, please go in, click the plus button and add a comment or add an article. Feel free to add whatever it is that you want because your input is going to help other artists. I promise you that. And so don't be shy. Get in there, say the things, and ask for feedback and all of that stuff. So I just want to thank you guys all for your engagement. It's been an amazing month. I feel like I've grown so much as a result of you guys, and I look forward to continuing this path. One last thing, 25 Days of Minis. I know everybody's wondering what the heck's going on with that. We're in the home stretch. We've just been finalizing. It's been such a different run up this year, working with our web designer, working with our timelines, with Corona, trying to figure out how we can help our 25 Days brand extract out how we can help you right now. So I will be by the end of this week, we'll have a clear email going out to all of you about what 25 Days timelines are going to be, and that they're coming up very soon. So like the launch of it. So anyway, anything else? Any questions about anything? Yeah, Lisa.
About 25 days.
Yeah.
I think you had said that we could start to let people know about the program as a whole. I thought you said that at some point.
Yeah, so okay, I'll give you the quick and dirty. We're going to be going into the community and saying those that are in the community are welcome to apply to 25 days. We're going to make it a requirement to have the community be the foundation for the 25 days. So you can't do 25 days unless you're in the community. We are also going to be having the community apply. So just because you're a community member does not make you automatically in the 25 days. We're thinking of the 25 days as a long, you know, when you join a community and they have like weekend workshops and things like that you can go to, or like camps and things. That's what 25 days is essentially going to be within our community. It's going to be a group of like-minded artists, all reaching a similar goal together, all helping each other. So why I say this is I would, we're in a group right now of people, almost all of you have done 25 days before, so I can't imagine a world in which you're not doing it this year. But as a blanket whole, I'm not telling our group to go out and talk about it yet because we haven't gone through the application process, which that is what's coming up soon. The applications will be opening up very soon. And then we're going to spend about a month seeking applications. You're welcome to go out into the community and say, hey, or out into your world and say, hey, if you want to join 25 days this year, come on into the community because the applications are opening up soon. But I would not go out and start actively. I would not tell the group as a whole to go out and talk about 25 days yet.
Okay, so when you're ready, we could say, go to the 25 Days website, and that's where they can learn all about what you just said.
Well, are you talking about artists or are you talking about
Artists?
collectors?
Yeah, I'm only talking.
Yeah, no, artists, yeah. Go ahead and get
Oh.
them into the community. Get those. The sooner they can get into the community, the sooner they can get indoctrinated into our culture, and the easier it'll be for them to like get on board with 25 days.
So when they go to the website, that they'll learn about how to get into the community. Is that right now? Right now?
Yeah, so they can go 25 days, or they can go to haveyourbestshow.com, or they can go to members.haveyourbestshow.com. All three of those places give the same information on how to join the community.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I totally derailed that question for you.
So Teresa, do you have some cutoff like on the number of people participating in the 25 days?
No, I don't have a cap. Our community is about 30 members strong right now. So it will, like at this point, it's not going to be past 30, but I imagine as 25 days opens, we'll have more people join.
You had about 40 artists last year?
Yeah, there was 40 artists last year. I do not believe we've hit our saturation point yet with artists doing the 25 days. I think there was room for more last year, but for me, I'm focusing more on a few things. I want to make sure that the artist's work is consistent and clear and has a voice of its own. I want to make sure that the artists know that there is quite a bit of work that goes into it, not only into creating the art, but also in marketing of it. And we are all going to be on a regimented program this year, getting the work done early so that we can spend the back half of the year marketing the program. If that means us not having as many artists this year, I'm fully okay with that. We just want to make sure that it's top quality work. We want to make sure that buyers, when they go on, find what they want. And we want to make sure it's easy and clear on how they secure the art for their gift givers. And I'll leave you with this really quick. The positioning statement that I currently have written for 25 days for this year, I would love some feedback on it really quick, since most of you have participated before. Right now, I'm a little bit stuck, and I would love for you just to give me your feedback really quick. So we help holiday shoppers avoid long lines and unremarkable gifts by sharing a collection of one-of-a-kind artworks each day of December, so that they can fully experience the magic of the season and give meaningful gifts that inspire for generations. That is the positioning statement as it is right now. I think it needs to be slept on for a little bit longer, but I would love some initial feedback on that really quick.
Can you say it again, please?
Yes. We help holiday shoppers avoid long lines and unremarkable gifts by sharing a collection of one-of-a-kind artworks each day of December, so that they can fully experience the magic of the season and give meaningful gifts that inspire for generations.
Where is it you feel it's lacking? Do you feel it's lacking in a particular place?
I feel like it's falling a little bit bland. Like I feel like there's some words I can switch out a little bit to make it feel a little bit more like, oh my gosh, I have to get there and check out what's going over there in the minis world. I also have had to pair, like the first rounds were like longer and more wordy, and I also don't want that to be the case either. So in the past, we've sort of gone at the marketing on two levels. Like we've gone after gift givers and we've gone after collectors. And then it occurred last year that collectors are gifting themselves work. And so when you're going out Christmas shopping, you're still buying that thing that you saw on sale. Like you're just like, okay, this one's for me and these are for the other people. So I decided to streamline this year and only talk to the gift givers, only talk to the buyers. I was also like in an initial round, I was calling the gift givers. So instead of saying we help holiday shoppers, I was saying we help rockstar gift givers, because I just thought that like the people who buy our artwork at 25 days are people who really try to like wow their recipients. They come here to buy art. It's, you know, to get a piece of art from us, it's at least $100, if up to $500. So it's not a little bit of money. So I was trying to create some pizzazz there. I don't know. I'm just a little bit stuck on the wording in that.
So I think the beginning of the statement emphasizes the want to go and buy a piece of artwork, and it buries the fact that these are original, one-of-a-kind small gems of beauty that you share with people that you love. So the beauty of what we have with 25 days is that they are mini and they're small, and small gift with a big statement. And when your statement, your way you're positioned it, is so much heavy on the actual process of buying and not actually about what they're buying. At least that's how I hear it. Sorry.
That's good feedback. Okay, I'm gonna sleep on that and see if that
Because remember,
Okay.
the first 5 words are always the most important words in order to get someone's attention, right? Like it's always, you need to, whenever you write anything, the first sentence is the most important piece to get people to understand why, what they're doing, why they're reading it, why it's important.
Can I say that long lines might be slightly irrelevant because of so much online shopping going on right now? So it's just something to think about. Like if that's going to be in your first 5 words, just make sure that I like the connotation of it is that you have to wait, and like we don't like to wait for anything, and so I get the connotation, but I'm just wondering if that particular wording is going, if that's going to hit people. Maybe it will because of the demographic and the age. Like people will remember having to wait in line for a long time. But maybe for the younger folks that do almost all of their shopping online, that
Mhm.
what's she talking about?
Well,
Yeah.
may I put my kind of thinking? People will have to wait for 25 days to see the entire body of work. So maybe saying that waiting, like maybe cut it out altogether and say you can avoid bland gifts or unremarkable gifts by giving artwork. More like emphasizing the quality of the gifts
Yeah,
as opposed to.
I like the unremarkable, excuse me, of the words that you had. The unremarkable seems like a good one to keep in, and maybe
Okay.
generic would be another one, that because there are a lot of very generic gifts out
So,
there.
but also you can add that it is fun to wait every day. It's like unwrapping a little gift every morning. I would get up and like, oh, there is my email. I want to see what's up today. So it's like it's so ticklish for entire month. Your anticipation is great. So you're like the first thing in the morning you do is you're checking out like what's new on 25 days of minis, and you can say that you not only you're getting really beautiful, exciting, original art for gifts or for yourself, but also you're experiencing this joy of discovery like for 25 days by just unwrapping, like opening an email in the morning. Like
Yeah, that's true. It's a whole separate gift, really.
It's
This
like
morning, this
it's
daily.
a process. That's why it's so attractive, 25 days of minis, because what the customer is experiencing by doing it, being part of it, it's like it really sets you up for like in a holiday state of mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I am grateful for your feedback there, and I think that there were so many good points there that is going to help craft this. So I really appreciate your time with that. It occurred to me when I was writing this that I need to go to the source of all the artists because I knew you guys would be able to help point me in the right direction. So, all right, guys, I'm going to call it. It is 1:21. I apologize for going over per usual, and I really again appreciate all your time today. We will be in touch soon, and I hope come to the open studio, the club studio tomorrow and Thursday. That's a lot of fun, and we dance. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thanks
Bye.
again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.